then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
From the Darlington Raceway, the Racers Elite Cup Series is at the Palmetto State to take on the Lady in Black. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Darlington, South Carolina. Last week at Dover, Brandon Honeycutt only needed to lead just 45 laps, including the most important one, that final lap, to capture the checkered flag in the first state. Kensley Smith is holding on to his points leads for dear life, while Brandon Zimmerman leapfrogged Ira Kohlhaas to settle in second place in our point standings. I'm Dave Riegel alongside my freshly minted partner, Mr. Shane Lake, here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and we'd like to thank you for making SRM a part of your evening, because we'll be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And Shane, glad to have you in with us tonight as you make your maiden voyage here with the Racers Elite Cup Series. I know that you've got some experience the last few nights covering the other divisions of the Racers Elite Series. So welcome in.
I appreciate that, and I am excited. Whether you guys call this a track too tough to tame or the Lady in Black, this is a fun place if you get it right, but it can be a disastrous place if you get it wrong. I can't wait to see who she dances with tonight in Victory Lane.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough night, and of course, here we are at the regular season finale for the Racers Elite Cup Series. Of course, we saw some notes earlier on tonight that we're going to have to go over, especially regarding points and where everybody's going to be. Right now, locked into the playoffs is Kensley Smith, Brandon Honeycutt, Ira Kohlhaas, Dennis Kane, and Troy Thomas. And, of course, in order for some of these other drivers to make it into the playoffs, of course, it's going to be a 12-car field. They essentially have to win Darlington. Those drivers include Jonathan Leach, Kirby Wainscott, Paul Shaw, Alan Bergen, and Dakota Bly. So there's a lot of people on the bubble that basically, they have no other choices. This is it, and this is the only way in through the Lady in Black.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, I'm also watching that point spread from 8th down to 14th between Jason Bottoms, Noah Tansman, Greg Robinson, Alex Teff, Timothy Hoax, Sam Kohlhaas, and Diego Rodriguez, because that from top to bottom, Jason Bottoms is only 26 points above the cut line. Diego is 17 points under it. Anything can happen here. And this is going to be a whale of a wild card to figure out who's going to end up coming out of this inside that top 12.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like this is the kind of racetrack that is incredibly appropriate to use as of course, your regular season finale. It's not a wild card. It's, at this point, more of a survivor's race because we're going to see just about everything here. Of course, Darlington in the bread and butter basket of our sport here in southeastern United States. Of course, one of the oldest tracks on the circuit, and, to me, probably one of the coolest as you discover where things used to be here. Of course, the duck pond is what causes the track to have its odd shape. The front stretch is where the back stretch used to be, all kinds of different stuff here. And, to use a term from PBS, there's a lot of history locked up in this old house.
There is a lot of history, whether it was David Pearson winning all of the races that he did, Darrell Waltrip and Richard Petty having their battle in 1979, Jeff Gordon going 3 in a row in the Southern 500 from 95 to 98. There is a lot of history in this house, and we're about to make some more tonight.
We are. The Racers Elite Cup Series is incredible. I mean, they race a fixed setup here as we take a look here at Kensley Smith. This is kind of a weird throwback. We mentioned it before. I refreshed the paints and took a look at it one more time. This is a weird throwback. This is an Aaron's Dream machine instead of his traditional Napa number 15. So this was kind of a weird era for Michael Waltrip in the first place. But throwback paint schemes always incredible here at Darlington. We're going to see some really cool stuff tonight. Of course, we already saw the 8 machine with the throwback to the 2004. No, I'm sorry. 2001 Pepsi 400.
Yeah, I've actually got that die-cast sitting on my desk right now. I'm looking at it. I remember that race vividly, so that car's got a little bit of a special place in my heart.
Yeah, there's a couple of really cool paint schemes that just, they eschew a whole lot of memories for me. And something I think NASCAR does better than almost any other sport that we have is we take care of the history in this sport. It's not just about moving forward and seeing what tomorrow is, but it's taking care of the people who got us to where we are today. And NASCAR, if you look at the big four sports, your baseball, football, hockey, and basketball, I feel like they don't take care of it the way that NASCAR does, and they keep everybody engaged even long after their careers are over.
Yeah, exactly. And they've already been releasing the actual paint jobs for Throwback Weekend for the big boys coming up next weekend. And we've got throwbacks to Richard Petty. We've got throwbacks to Cale Yarborough. There's a Jeff Gordon throwback again for William Byron this year. There are so many great cars that are cars and trucks, because there's even a few throwback trucks that have already been released. So the teams of this sport are what's able to keep the history of this sport alive and well. And it's amazing to see that year after year after year. And this is the perfect place to hold a throwback race.
One of course, our important drivers tonight. This is last week's winner, Brandon Honeycutt, here in the number 13. He's finishing his first lap here, his first qualifying lap as he comes back onto the front stretch. As he crosses the start-finish line, he's going to go 12th fastest. Now we'll get to see a little bit more of how he's going to boogie around this place and probably earn his Darlington stripe. We were talking about it off air as we were prepping for tonight's show. Getting through 1 and 2, it's a double apex coming in and out of there as you set yourself up to go down the backstretch. And now I see Honeycutt, there he is, just kind of drifting up here. He's kind of all over 3 and 4, but, to get around here pretty simply is going to take a lot of talent. These drivers are going to have to do some things that they're not used to as Honeycutt goes 7th fastest on the timing tower. We take a look here at our chief cook and bottle washer at Sim Racing Media, Jonathan Leach out of Shreveport, Louisiana, and he's got the 86 SRM machine about halfway through that opening lap.
Yeah, and the thing about this track is there are so many different lines to go around both corners. I was taking some test laps in my number 3 car this morning as I was kind of building a notebook for this race. Even I was struggling here, and I was clipping the apron coming off of turn 1 to set up the apex for turn 2. And coming off of turn 2, I was using the apron there, kind of a lot like the old school line, what you would see from like 2000 through 2004, 2005. And my times are nowhere close to what these guys are running. So even running an old school line isn't exactly the best speed-wise, but it might also be able to save your tires, and that's the biggest thing you have to do here is tire management.
Yeah, tire management at a place like Darlington is incredibly difficult. It is, as Tony Trapasso would have called it, a cheese grater to get around this place. In fact, I think the only surefire way to save tires here at Darlington is to just park it on pit road.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a few people that do that because I believe it was Larry Mack who said it best. This place is a lot like 80 grit sandpaper. It will chew these tires apart. You'll want to get some stickers after 20 laps, let alone 40 or 50.
Yeah, and of course tonight, things are going to be, it's a long race tonight. Not too long, but just long enough, we should say, as we get settled in here. I mean, moving forward for at least tonight's race, we're going to see some interesting stuff here. 105 laps, the scheduled distance here at Darlington. Sub 30 second, 28 second during qualifying for everybody here. And, we're going to have 4 tire sets laid and then 5, of course, all together. So with those 105 laps, you're probably right at 20 laps. That's when guys are going to start getting itchy, looking for that extra set of tires. Maybe they try to stretch it out to 35 or 40 just to see if they can make it. But right now, it's not about making it. It's about gritting up here as drivers are crawling into the window.
The biggest thing that I have for a question for this race, what are we going to do if we see green flag pit stops? Because this is one of the hardest tracks to get down onto pit road because the entrance is midway through 3 and 4, and it's a steep dive off the banking. So there are going to be a lot of guys that could miss pit road and screw themselves out of a possible top 5 finish, if not a win.
Without a doubt, I guess we'll have to strap a helmet on and find out as these drivers have gotten in through the window nets. We'll take a look here at our starting lineup. Sitting on the pole position tonight, our points leader, Kensley Smith, going to sit alongside of Ira Kohlhaas from Woodlawn, Tennessee. Starting on the inside of row number 3, Jason Bottoms alongside Brandon Zimmerman from Gloucester. Row 3 going to feature Sam Kohlhaas and Matt Schlosser out of Frederick, Maryland, while Alex Teft and Brandon Honeycutt are featured in row number 4. Dennis Kane and Andrew Teft are going to be back here in row number 5, rounding out your starting top 10, while Truth Hoke and Kirby Wainscott are seated here in row 6. Diego Rodriguez out of Adrian, Michigan, alongside Gregory Robinson in row number 7, with Marshall Harris and our very own Matt Metler back in row number 8. Thomas Stanley and Alan Bergen out of St. Louis, Missouri, going to start row number 9, while Dakota Bly and, of course, our boss man here, Jonathan Leach, going to be in row 10. Starting shotgun on the field tonight from South Williamsport, Pennsylvania, going to be Curtis Ecker here in the number 19 Coca-Cola machine. 21 cars scheduled to take the green flag tonight, and I'll tell you what, Sean, this is going to be, I've been waiting all week for this race wow, can't get them all out tonight, all in and of itself. So let's get ready to rock and roll.
I am excited for this. I know everybody who's watching on YouTube is excited for this. We have got a thriller from Darlington for everybody lined up. I'm looking through all of these paint jobs. There's a lot of memories. There's about to be another one made as that pace car has made the hard left-hand turn onto pit road. The lady in black has got her heels on and waiting to dance with somebody. We are about to go green from Darlington.
Ira Kohlhaas and Kensley Smith set the pace as Kohlhaas is going to take the high line here as we get underway from Darlington Raceway. Brandon Zimmerman now slides himself into second position. Everybody's scrambling to go single file as fast as possible. Already out of line, looks back here just behind Gregory Robinson. And Matt Metler looks like that's Thomas Stanley who wanted to get down here low here in the 62. So we can almost see everybody, stepping out of line is the 8 machine of Greg Robinson. As we go up here to the blimp and float through the field right now, everybody's going single file because it's way too early to start battling it out here.
Yeah, and right now, Kensley Smith was probably the smart way of doing things, backing it off and let the cars on the outside take advantage and drop him down to third, because the last thing you want to do is try to go side by side on cold tires into turn 1, because that's a fast way to get crashed.
It is as Ira Kohlhaas leads us here on lap number 3. Nice clean start to tonight's race. Kensley Smith just hit his fast time here at 28.97 seconds to boogie around Darlington. And you know what? The Lady in Black definitely does have her high heels on tonight as she has these guys dancing all over the floor. I'll tell you what, nobody's really starting to get squirrely out here, which is not a bad thing, as we're going to go right on board here with Truth Hoke in the 59. And I'll tell you what, Hoke is one of these drivers that we're going to see kind of pace himself, be very patient. This is that double apex as we're going to see him drop down a little closer here now. Roll the throttle here on exit out of 2. Hoke is going to be starting to gain on Dennis Kane as we get through here. He's already +2 here on the timing line.
Yeah, and he's starting to use that high line a little bit and arcing it down to the bottom of the corner, which lets you straighten it up and pick up more speed to get back down into turn 1. And his entry into turn 1, I've noticed he's actually clipping the apron a little bit just to loosen the car up that much to help it rotate, because as we've said, it's a double apex to try to get down in there and drive down to the bottom so you can shoot off and try to roll into turn 3 that much quicker.
Ira Kohlhaas setting fast time once again at 28.46 seconds, so nearly a half second faster than our former best lap. So, obviously things cranking up early here as we take a look here at our current conditions on the racetrack. 72 degrees on the asphalt. That is all kinds of grippy. It's almost to the point where if it gets any colder, we're going to see tires start to slip slide around. It's almost the opposite condition that we would see if the track was extremely hot.
Yeah, but the one thing this track has always been known for is to eat the tires up. And right now, staying in single file lets you conserve the tires just that little bit in case it does get a little bit cooler as the night wears on. So it's building the notebook right now because, as we've said, it's 105 laps. It's still early. Guys are just logging laps right now, taking notes in their head about what's going on. And when that time comes, whether it's a late restart or a shuffle through pit stops, that will be the time to pounce. And I'm very interested to see who's going to be able to have the master strategy tonight.
This field going single file is already more strung out than a line at a methadone clinic as we are on lap number 8. And I win. Ira Kohlhaas leads the way, but I mean, he's got almost a full second between himself and Brandon Zimmerman. There's a whole lot of real estate between these two drivers as we work lap number 8. Diego Rodriguez starting to close in now on Truth Hoke as I'll tell you what, I said it earlier, I think this is going to be at least my vote for best throwback paint scheme. There was something, maybe it's because of what I do for a living that I'm biased toward the Home Depot in the first place, but something about that black and orange Joe Gibbs Racing stable number 20, just it feels good right now.
Especially seeing it on a Toyota, that orange roof number. This is one of those what-if situations. If Smoke stayed around and didn't try to form up with Gene Haas to open up Stuart Haas Racing, what could have been? And this is that exact paint scheme for what it could have been for Tony later on down the road.
Yeah, that's something that I've never really thought about what would have happened had Tony stayed at JGR. And the thing is, Tony was one of those drivers who he marched to the beat of his own drum. The only way that he was going to have the freedom to do that was to get out from under the thumb of Coach Gibbs. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Coach Gibbs is a genius as far as being a car owner is. In my opinion, he's probably one of the best team owners, as far as being a personable human. But, Smoke just didn't want to stay there. And I get it. You want to try to explore something different. And it's kind of what Denny Hamlin's doing now, even though that he's staying with JGR.
Yeah, Denny with Michael Jordan helping co-own that team. I wouldn't be surprised if Denny wraps up his career driving for his own team, because that just seems to be what could happen. As we've got, looks like Dennis Kane is getting passed up by both Diego and Truth, and here comes the 8 car of Gregory Robinson to make it a 3-way pass.
Riding along here with Dennis Kane, we can see just how, whoa, there's that camera, just how crazy things can get. We see Kirby Wainscott here in the finger-licking good number 10 KFC Chevrolet Camaro. Curtis Ecker registering as having crashed, and we are under our first caution of the evening here on lap 13. Let's take a look and see what happened. Something bad must have happened as we see Curtis Ecker here. Oh!
He tried to stay off the boss man and just got himself in the fence.
That did not work out well. In fact, let's see if I can do this from here. We'll do this, a little click click here, and we'll try this. Check out this camera angle from, of course, Jonathan Leach, driver the number 86 SRM Ford. He rubs the wall and then just gets rocketed down the backstretch. Now, to add insult to injury, Curtis Ecker, while all of this is going on, gets clipped. Woof! As we're going to run that back, I couldn't even see who that was. That's how fast it was. Just in front of, might have been, let's see, where Mettler was. Thomas Stanley here, as we're going to ride along. Mettler dove down, and Stanley didn't take the hint.
And that's the unfortunate part about Darlington is you can really get caught up in someone else's mess real fast, as we see a lot of guys coming onto pit road to get some sticker tires.
Wholesale pit stops underway. Ira Kohlhaas choosing to stay out, but Brandon Zimmerman, Matt Schlosser, Kensley Smith, Jason Bottoms, and everybody from 8th on back through 18th is coming down pit road. So it looks like we're going to reshuffle here. Ira Kohlhaas, Sam Kohlhaas, basically both Kohlhaases, both Tefts, and Diego Rodriguez all choosing to stay out.
There must be some sort of strategy with those guys, because they're going to be giving up roughly about a second a lap, if not a little bit more, to these fresh tires. So maybe they're expecting something a little more long-term to go green longer and try to catch back up. Or maybe they're just trying to cycle these tires out so that way they can try to play the strategy game for late race.
Kensley Smith staying on pit road for a long time here, dipping back. They put him back on all 4 tires a moment ago, so he must have some kind of damage that he's having assessed, as he still sits here sliding all the way back into 15th position. He now rolls off of pit road and is going to be lined up behind Kirby Wainscott as Wainscott makes his exit off of pit road. So kind of an interesting twist there to Kensley Smith. He's going to be followed by our very own Alan Bergen in the 00 Toyota Camry, and I don't know what on earth that paint scheme is, but if he's happy with it, he's happy with it.
Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, this ain't it, Chief. This really ain't it.
He knows. He knows. To be fair, he drinks Anheuser-Busch products. So
that paint scheme needs to get yeeted.
He'll do it himself anyway. It'll be fine.
True.
This, another throwback paint scheme, of course, something that we all know and love is that 43 with the STP logo on the front of it, that Petty blue. 75 years for Petty Enterprises and 65 years for that Petty blue. Did you ever hear the story about how Petty blue was invented?
Something about they ran out of blue paint, so they tried to extend it and mixed in some white, and out came Petty blue.
That's exactly what it was. They had, back in the day, I mean, it wasn't like the paint booths that we have today where, we've got endless amounts of paint for everything. I mean, you had to get something, you had to get a car off the showroom floor to be a true stock car, to modify it to, be safe enough to race with. And they didn't have enough paint. So you did what anybody would do. It's kind of like watering down coffee if you run out, serving breakfast at your local VFW.
True. Or watering down beer at the local hole.
Well, I mean, if you're from St. Louis, where Alan Bergen is, it already tastes like it's been watered down.
True.
I mean, you're from the land of that beautiful, thick Boston lager. I have the beautiful hills of Pennsylvania producing Yuengling's finest lager. And then you've got Anheuser-Busch, which, Alan, you got to turn left. Holy Christmas.
One of these things is not like the other.
Going to go Noah's Ark style 2x2, please, as we head down the back chute here behind the iRacing.com pace car. The lights are out, which means that we'll be going back green flag racing this time by. It's going to be Sam and Ira Kohlhaas leading the way with Andrew and Alex Teft in row 2. Diego Rodriguez and Brandon Zimmerman going to be starting 5th and 6th. As we mentioned a moment ago, Rodriguez, the last driver not to come down pit road, as Ira Kohlhaas watches the iRacing.com pace car make the hard left turn down pit road. We get ready. Come on. I forgot how long this is. There it is. As we get ready to enter the Geico restart zone, Ira Kohlhaas just getting himself tightened up one more time in the seat. And as he's going to cross that timing line, Ira Kohlhaas going to drop the hammer, and here we go.
What a jump for Ira. That was well timed. No one on his outside. He's going to have a very clean entry going in through 1 and 2.
Yeah, this league prides itself on being good with, getting in and out where they have to. As we take a look here at the 98 of Andrew Teft. Now, Teft here, another cool paint scheme, the Mac Tonight Ford Mustang. And I'll tell you what, when McDonald's started going late night, open till midnight, all that jazz, that was like cutting edge back in the day.
I grew up in the 90s. I know exactly what you're talking about. I actually have that Mac Tonight paint job from Bill Elliott on the old T-Bird. Seeing that car was such a departure when it debuted at Richmond in 1997, as the 30 car's banging itself off the fence. That's more than a Darlington stripe right there. I'd be concerned.
Yeah, they all just kind of spread out like a fan on a Sunday at church. Big lady sitting there on the front row watching the pastor, and she just flips that thing open because he's getting long-winded. As we go all but 3 wide down the front stretch, side by side goes the 8 and the 30 of Sam Kohlhaas. Kohlhaas drifting up to the high side. Truth Hoke working just underneath Gregory Robinson as we roll out of... Whoa!
Oh, he ain't done hitting the wall yet.
Some
he just put him back in it.
Some wild and crazy guys here getting the way through turns 1 and 2. Diego Rodriguez just ahead of the mayhem as we look back at Marshall Harris. All of a sudden, everybody saw what was going on, and they said, okay, back to single file. Clearly, we are not going to be doing this tonight.
No, it's way too early to start swapping bumpers around here. And if I was the 8 car, I'd be a little concerned, too, because the way that 30 bounced off the wall. Oh, speaking of bouncing off walls, there goes the 21. He gets hit again.
They're going to dance. Oh, wow, don't go up, go up. Stay. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to present to you the Code Brown moment of the night from Marshall Harris, as he just was all over the racetrack on the backstretch. My God.
Wow. And somehow that car is still pointed in the right direction.
Somebody get that man a new fire suit.
And a new seat. As the 4...
Oh, there goes the 4. The 4 just got shoved out of the way and down. Oh. By inches, we wind up going under caution. Let's see what happened here with Dennis Kane.
Kane smacked the wall and got turned. I was watching that entire thing develop. You're going to see him smack the wall coming off of 2 right there. And kapow.
Let's see if we can maybe catch that from the 21, because the 21 had probably the scariest view of that because he had no place to go, and that's kind of the thing that we run into here at Darlington. Things
happen way too quick.
Here's the rub and the turn. The 21 almost went down to try to avoid him as he was still loose, but still wound up catching that left rear quarter panel on the 4.
Yeah, and unfortunately that puts us under the second caution of the night.
Now, the few drivers that didn't come down pit road the last time, they're going to come this time. The Kohlhaases, the Tefts, and Rodriguez all coming down, and it looks like we see some other drivers coming down, obviously for, some body repair. Aero not as big of a factor here, if you will, because basically everybody knows that nobody's coming out of here perfectly clean.
No, there's going to be a lot of bent fiberglass by the time this race is over, and that may have been what those top 5 cars were waiting for. They were probably banking on another caution, trying to stay off cycle. This could be their strategy to try to win the race tonight.
That's going to cycle Brandon Zimmerman up to the race lead, followed by Jason Bottoms, Matt Schlosser, Truth Hoke, Greg Robinson, Kensley Smith, and our very own Alan Bergen. Going to be restarting in 7th position. That should just about make the 311 of Matt Metler nervous as he sits behind Alan.
Yeah. I think it'd make anybody
ride along here with Metler.
I think that'd make anybody nervous being behind a paint job that ugly.
That's fair. That's fair. So we're going to see if we can get a hold of Matt Metler. Hey, Matt, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
What's up, Dave Regal?
Buddy, listen, you're what's up. I mean, right now you're down a lap. Obviously, things haven't been going too great for you there in the 311 Toyota, but what are you seeing out there on the racetrack, and what kind of insight can you give us up here in the booth of what the conditions are down there?
Yeah, it's slick, and more slick. These Dr. Feelgoods are definitely start off as feel bads. Takes a couple laps for those tires to come in. And then when they finally do come in, the car goes from tight to a moderate loose condition. So you got to be on top of that. And then on top of it, these guys out here on the racetrack, they aren't, giving an inch out there. So you really have to try and force the issue for positions out there on the racetrack. Jonathan Leach, the boss man, has already used up his 9 lives, in my opinion. I don't know how he survived 2 shoulda, woulda, couldas, if you know what I mean. And I'm just holding on for dear life right now. I was trying to get around our buddy Alan. He was putting Brad Keselowski level blocks at Daytona on me. But if he does it again, I may have to move him. I think we'll be good here if we can just let this field kind of spread out a little bit and let the tires come into its own. You know what I mean?
I do. You know how I feel when I start to see these cars go single file all strung out. So I get it, man. I do.
Yes, I do.
All right, brother, man. Listen, good luck the rest of the way. And, hey, listen, you never know. It could happen. That's what the little kid in Angels in the Outfield said.
Hey, I just got to set my lemons to full squeeze and we'll be good.
There it is.
If you don't know, then you don't know.
Well, if you don't, to be fair, if you don't know, then you should probably be tuned in with Matt and I on a Sunday night as we bring you all of the action from the Stacey Strong Cup Series right here on Sunday Night NASCAR over here on Sim Racing Media. But, buddy, listen, I will see you Sunday night. Love you, miss you. Good luck.
Love you too, brother. Have a good call up top.
Matt Metler is an absolute genius with the words. I wouldn't let him give my kid any vocabulary lessons, but he's fabulous.
Yeah, sharp wit is definitely on that one's list.
Brandon Zimmerman in the 65 going to lead us back to green this time as the iRacing.com pace car makes the hard left.
Zimmerman actually on the outside line, which is smart because that's a good way to fire off, get that advantage as they hit the Geico restart zone. Barney's waving that green flag one more time for these guys. We are back green, and the 65 is gone.
Nice solid restart for Brandon Zimmerman as he brings us through turns 1 and 2. Once again, we're going to see him have to dip down just a little here. That's going to help him roll out of the turn here, out of turn 2 down the back chute, as everybody this time has decided that maybe instead of, trying to play with fate, that they're going to try to go single file here. Maybe get some green flag laps once again as we ride here with our drone in the middle of the racetrack. Truth Hoke now holding off Jason Bottoms as Bottoms is going to work all over the rear bumper of Hoke.
Yeah, I think everybody right now ain't in the mood to salsa dance with the lady in black, so they're just tangoing around a little bit, just making sure they can survive until last call.
Do you tango in South Carolina? Is that a thing?
Yeah, there's certain places you can do it. I mean, it's better than line dancing.
Anything's better than line dancing, believe me.
You're not wrong. Former bouncer and DJ, you're not wrong.
I watched my dad go country line dancing when we were down at spring training a couple of weeks ago. And, now about a month ago. And to me, it just looked like a dancing bear. All he was missing was the top hat.
Oh, that's the worst part of it all is when you can just sit there and you're like, The drinks ain't strong enough for me to do this. Why am I here?
No, it was one of those situations where I thought usually I'd be like, oh, it's my dad. No, instead I was like, who is this crazy man and where is my beer?
You might need about 3 of them at this point.
I hope he's not paying attention tonight. As we take a look at Ira Kohlhaas running in 7th position, just behind Greg Robinson in that throwback Dale Earnhardt Jr. paint scheme. Another Anheuser-Busch paint scheme. I've already been very clear on how I feel about AB, but it is what it is as Greg Robinson leads Ira Kohlhaas. We'll take a look right here from the rear bumper. You can see the 29 now looking to the inside as we rotate our rear bumper cam here onto the 29. What a look we get as now he's going with that little bit of a rub that we heard Robinson get. That's going to open the door now for Robinson to make the run.
Yeah, he's bouncing off that wall far too often. He's going to end up knocking that whole right side off that car at this rate, and that's not going to be helpful. Yeah, for me, if I'm running something like this, I'd take as much adjustment in this vehicle as possible and try to get it to the point where I might be uncomfortable with the looseness at the start of a run, but at the end of it, it's where I need it to be, and I can make up the ground. As we're looking at Alex Teft, who is trying to make up the ground after coming on pit road.
Yeah, 33 laps in the book, so just about a third of the way through this piece here. And, another rub for the 98. The one driver who really seems to just have his act together, so to speak, is Brandon Zimmerman. He's up here in clean air, nothing in front of him but empty real estate, and that's not a bad thing when you're trying to boogie around Darlington, as he's going to come down through here, almost throttle himself into the bottom of turn 1. Maybe a little kiss of the wall here. We're going to watch him drop one more time and now fire it off down the backstretch.
Yeah, and that's the thing is the biggest way to get around this track is to drive from the top of the hill down to the bottom, as we might have a pass for the lead with Truth Hoke looking inside.
Side by side they go. Truth Hoke on the inside trying to work underneath Brandon Zimmerman. This is probably the safest way that we're going to see anybody pass where there's nobody else around. Getting the run is Truth Hoke as they go John Force style. Next thing you know, Hoke is able to slide right in front of Brandon Zimmerman and secure the lead away from him for the time being.
I think Zimmerman let him have it. I didn't think he wanted battle right now, but all that battling has brought in Kensley Smith and that Aaron's Dream Machine, number 15.
Yeah, Kensley Smith was just kind of riding around watching these guys. And, a lot of times in this sport, whoa, here goes the 8. All over the racetrack. Let's take a quick run back at that one. My God.
And that right front is killed.
In a gospel church, somebody would have just handed the pastor a rag to wipe the sweat from his brow after this one.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus, he knocked the wall down. Can I get a hallelujah?
He just said hallelujah as he realized he was still moving forward and we were under caution.
I think everyone was saying that. Can I get an amen?
Oh, it's amen, all right. As Gregory Robinson rides here in the 9th position, just ahead of Marshall Harris in the 21 machine. Marshall Harris holding on to that top 10 slot right now, but Brandon Zimmerman now going to be challenged by Kensley Smith as Kensley just got around Truth Hoke. We'll take a look here at the pass for P2 here on 37. Kensley Smith sets himself up a little bit of a rub at the wall, opens the door, and Kensley Smith, like a lion in the Serengeti, waiting to pounce there on that Impala as he just gets right on by Hoke.
Yeah, and he took Zimmerman and Kensley both took him down, and now they're fighting over the bones. That is the race lead.
1 and 2 goes Zimmerman and Smith as we work lap 38. About 0.2 of a second separating these two drivers. As we look through the rest of the field, it looks like Ira Kohlhaas ready to challenge the 98 of Andrew Teft here as they go down the front stretch. Just as they get underneath Barney in the flag stand, they go single file again. Maybe just trying to feel each other out as they're not ready to battle just this yet.
No, right now they're just building a notebook. They're just logging the laps and figure, okay, I know where I'm stronger than this guy late in the run. If I'm around him again and it's more important, can I pounce on him a lot quicker than what I'm looking at right now?
Take a look at pit strategy. Zimmerman, Smith, Schlosser, and Hoke all with about 25 laps on those tires. Then Teft, Kohlhaas, and Teft each have 16. Greg Robinson with 25 on his tires. So 25 and 16 laps for a combined 41 laps on these tires. It's going to be interesting to watch how this is all going to pan out because Zimmerman gained 3 spots here with having the older tires. It's almost like what they did was they flip-flopped the first pit stint and the second.
Yeah, and again, being able to say, all right, this is what we've got on older tires now. How can we attack compared to how can we attack on the newer tires? Again, this is all late race strategy as we see the 98 going around Truth right now, and the 29 is looking to try to come with them.
Ira Kohlhaas chasing down Andrew Teft here in the 98 in that Mack Knight Ford Mustang as we work lap number 42. Single file they go. The 43 of Alex Teft just kind of hanging out, watching what's going on ahead of him. That seems to be the strategy of most of these drivers. Jonathan Leach, as he tries to hug the wall, that's not the way to get around this piece. Has just about 3 seconds to Brandon Honeycutt and 1.9 seconds back to Ecker.
Now, hugging that wall is a fast way to get the entire right side ripped off that car. But I think the research he was doing has not paid off at all. As our boss man is still trying to figure this place out, I don't think he's got everything down because he's still not driving this thing as hard as possible, even on these older tires.
Well, we're going to have to check back with Jonathan Leach in just a little bit as we've got something brewing up here with Dennis Kane. This little 4-car breakaway has decided that they want to run together. And you know what? That's not a bad thing. It keeps things interesting when you're in the car because I for one, have already been in that situation where I'm all alone out there on the racetrack for dozens of laps, and it just gets boring as Dennis Kane now looks to the inside of Gregory Robinson. He's going to try to make the pass going into 1 and 2. Kane gets around a rub of the wall from Diego Rodriguez in the 20 machine. A clean pass overall, a rub from the 8 now, as this little 4-car grouping here works around on lap number 45.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do on an oval track is fall into complacency being by yourself. I mean, if it's an endurance race and you're out there for 3-4 hours, that's fine, just kind of being out there by yourself, because the slower cars you'll catch up to, and then the faster, like GTP cars, you'll catch up to. But on an oval, you can quickly fall asleep, especially at a place like this.
Yeah, and Dennis Kane right now, usually who's, up toward the front of this racetrack, or up toward the front of this race pack, that is, working his way up there, just +1 right now to the good. But some of the big movers of the night are going in the wrong direction. Jason Bottoms, -11, running in 14th position after starting on the inside of row 2. It just means that when you're out here alone qualifying, you're in one way, but when you've got all of this traffic behind you, it changes the track so drastically that, you wind up forgetting yourself.
Yeah, and it's very easy to do here, just to fall into a rhythm, and then next thing you know, after logging so many laps, you're starting to wonder, where is everybody? Because you haven't seen anyone in like 15, 20 minutes, and then it turns into a half an hour, it turns into 45 minutes, and next thing you know, you've already blown the race by, and you barely did anything.
Brandon Zimmerman playing the Pied Piper of Darlington Raceway right now. One of the interesting things about this racetrack is that it was designed originally to be one of the first quote-unquote super speedways in our sport, which to me was pretty cool, but it was at that time the biggest, fastest, sexiest racetrack alongside of Daytona.
Yeah, and the fact is, way back when they first started, you saw cars actually running on the apron and all the way out to the wall. So this was a 3-4 groove racetrack. Now it's turned into a groove, maybe a groove and a half after, what has it been now, 84 years, I want to say this track has been around. It was constructed in 1950, so I want to say 84 years? 74 years? Thank you.
74. We math real good here in the Northeast.
Yes, we do. I'm in the state of Maine. That says a lot.
Well, to be fair, right outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we don't math, we meth.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, it's bad enough Philadelphia boosts Santa, so come on now.
They booed Santa. They threw snowballs at the great one, Jimmy Johnson. I get it. It's just a nasty, nasty town sometimes.
Yeah, well, it fits the sports billing, trust me.
Well, of course, speaking of which, I'll be down in South Philadelphia tomorrow night to watch the Philadelphia Phillies take on the former New York, now San Francisco Giants. You know, speaking of former New York Giants, as we watch, wow, what in the world is going on here? Schlosser just stole the lead away from right before our very eyes. He just drove from out of nowhere and passed Brandon Zimmerman.
I believe he was conserving his tires, and as everyone else has been struggling, he decided to lay the hammer down and take the lead. I called his win yesterday from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park with Angel, and he drove away from everybody that race. It doesn't surprise me to see him up front here tonight.
Well, Schlosser, our new race leader here, as he passed Brandon Zimmerman just a lap and a half ago, as we're here at lap number 52. As we get to 52 and a half, that's going to be our halfway point of the race. As Dave Regal and Shane Lake bringing you all of the action here from Darlington, South Carolina. As I was starting to say, you know, the former New York Giants, now San Francisco Giants. You know, of course, in baseball news, we're talking about the Oakland Athletics moving to Las Vegas and temporarily going to be housed in Northern California. The Oakland A's are one of the two most traveled franchises in baseball. Of course, the Washington Senators went to Minnesota, and they went to Texas, and they went to, Montreal. And then, of course, you know, we get the Nationals after that. But, you know, the Oakland A's started here in Philadelphia, moved to Kansas City, went to Oakland, and now are moving to Las Vegas. Being a fan of the San Francisco Giants and saying, I liked it better when they were New York, is just like these people in Philadelphia that say, the A's were the greatest team in the world. You didn't, nobody was alive. Nobody can. You literally have to have an AARP lifetime membership at this point to remember when the A's were here.
Yeah, and the last time the A's did anything important, most of us weren't even a thought in our grandparents' eyes.
No, the most exciting thing the A's ever did was they got Brad Pitt as the general manager.
Oh, that was a good movie. Moneyball was a good movie.
Oh, that was a movie? I thought that was just a live look-in. Oh, and there are cars just... Oh, Lord almighty!
Look out! Woo! What happened to the boss man?
He's pointed the wrong direction. I'm guessing something bad happened.
Yeah, he got the whole nose taken off. Something
I didn't
bad
even know
had
he was
going to
have Chinese food with something Wong tonight. Whoa! He took out the 30 of Sam Kohlhaas and didn't even ask him out to dinner first.
Oh, there's a South Park reference in there somewhere, and they're both saying, I just got, you know what.
Let's watch this. I'm going to slow this down when we get there. We see John rub the wall, and Kohlhaas has no idea what to do or where to go, and the two of them just hold hands and wait for the end.
And that 30 car just became a lawn dart.
Yes, let's get a 5-pound weight and put a spike on the end of it and say that it's a kid's toy.
Now charging $7.99.
You know, I'm not the smartest person in the world. If somebody ever would have given me lawn darts, I'd be having coloring books for Christmas every year at this point. And wearing a helmet.
Special ed, anybody? I'm a lawn dart. Yay!
Matt Schlosser, Ira Kohlhaas, Brandon Zimmerman, Alex Teff, Kensley Smith, Diego Rodriguez, Dennis Kane, Kirby Wainscott, Gregory Robinson, Brandon Honeycutt, and Curtis Eckert all coming down pit road here under caution on lap number 57. Alan Bergen, Matt Metler, Andrew Teft, and Truth Hoke all deciding to stay out. I can't imagine why. They've last came down on 14, so maybe they have to wait because their lap's down. That could be. As Alan Bergen trying to catch up.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because we were actually starting to lap people that were on a lot older tires. So this caution came out to save a few of them, but it's hurt a whole lot more.
Cycling up to the top of the field, going to be Schlosser, Kohlhaas, Teft, Rodriguez, Zimmerman, and Kane. Bergen, Honeycutt, Wayne. Bergen's still going to stay out there for reasons I'm not quite sure of.
Well, he's got a paint job that I'm not quite sure of, so it just makes sense.
I don't know what he has to come down. He and Mettler both. There he comes. Whew. He was starting to scare me as he goes past that cookout ad.
That entire paint job scares me. It's like a bad effort from a team trying to patch a car together after it got knocked around here.
I love him. I just worry about him.
I saw Mark Martin in 1995 drive around with a better patch-up job on the door.
You know, Mark Martin and paint schemes and advertisers is really a landmine. It's like a minefield going anywhere near that. Valvoline, fine. Let's get oiled up and run around. But then it was Viagra. I feel like you should have gone with the Viagra first and then oil up. I don't know.
I feel like I'm back on my sports show in the morning just laughing at all the LeBron James jokes.
That's the joke there, LeBron James.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
You know, I listened to Colin Cowherd a few years ago decide that LeBron James is no longer in player mode. He is in mogul mode. You know, he's at the mogul stage of his career. He doesn't have to play basketball anymore. He's got enough outside interests that basketball is just simply what he does during the week to keep busy. And it's showing here in the playoffs.
Yeah, considering they were just bounced out not too long ago by Denver, which is probably going to steamroll the rest of the West.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
Tonight, I think tonight's game in South Philadelphia is at 9 o'clock. It's like in a Western time frame.
Yeah, because I think they still got an East Coast. I think they got an earlier East game, and then they decided to run Sixers Knicks.
Yeah, the Pacers are on now over on TNT, and then at 9 o'clock. First of all, as we get ready to go back green flag racing, I'm just saying, when the Phillies games get over, of course, tomorrow night's going to be a 6:40 first pitch, so we'll be there at like 5. But for a Phillies game, generally you get out of there about 9:30, somewhere between 9:30 and 10:30, you know, God willing.
Depending. Yeah.
You don't, and that's getting out of the city. Just get out. You don't want to be there. It's dark. It's scary. No. These people are going into town at 9 o'clock.
That's going to be calamity.
And it's and they're playing the Knicks, so it's New Yorkers in a city at night. I don't think this is a good idea.
The only thing worse than that idea is Joel Embiid thinking he's actually going to survive the playoffs.
It is what it is. There's always hope.
Well, there's always hope that he can actually be coached next season.
Well, taking a look elsewhere around the world of sports as the Milwaukee Bucks are... Wow! The Milwaukee Bucks are trailing the Indiana Pacers 90-78 with 28 seconds left in the third. Looks like the Orioles beat the Stankies 7-2 today. And your Bo Sox fell to the San Francisco Giants, who I will see tomorrow night, 3-1.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. We've had problems with pitching, and our offense has been hit or miss so far this season. We're basically a month in, so we got a lot to work on.
There goes Colehouse.
Oh.
And it's pandemonium, but they stay facing forward, so we stay green. I love the iRacing, yellow flag algorithm. As long as you're facing forward and moving, it's fine. It's totally fine.
ET is going to have to phone home to get a new front bumper on that car.
At the very least, phone AAA for a tow.
Yeah. Wasn't it the red paint job that Harvick ran the Busch race the same weekend that got junked by Biffle?
Yes.
That's what I thought. That
Take
was a highlight.
This battle breaking out for second position. Brandon Zimmerman leading Alex Teft. Let's pull up the battle box. There she is. As Zimmerman holding Teft off by just 0.2 of a second, and we're going to start to watch Zimmerman pull away from Teft. It's almost like he knows he's back there. He's got to turn it up just a little bit, but not too much, as now we've been back out here for about 7 laps. Those tires have all come up to temperature, which means that there's plenty of grip to get around this piece, as now Teft is back, my goodness, even further, as Zimmerman leads Teft by a half second.
Yeah, and in that shot, we saw the 29 coming into pit road, as badly damaged as he is. That car is going to need a lot of repair to get back out there. It's a shame because one of the most dominant cars early has just found himself basically behind the wall right now.
Race leader Matt Schlosser pacing the field by 1.25 seconds over Brandon Zimmerman. Closest battle right now for position is Truth Hoke behind Matt Mettler, who's back on the lead lap. I knew it wouldn't be long before he would get there, but now Mettler going to have to let Hoke on by. You know, one of the hardest things about, whoa, that was near calamity, as one of the hardest things in a fixed setup league is, you know, whoever designed the setup, that setup is really more comfortable for them than it is the other people on this racetrack. So as you're trying to get around this place, you know, you wind up clawing for, you know, out of desperation to keep it moving forward, especially if it's not designed to something that you're comfortable with.
And I think most of these setups are actually just the iRacing stock setup for the track. So you may not be comfortable with it. There's going to be a lot of other people that may not be comfortable with it, just the way it's based off of whoever designed it in the iRacing shop. But there's going to be some people where it fits right in their hands. And right now, it looks like Schlosser's hands are currently full with that lead.
Yeah, Truth Hoke back here in 12th has one thing, but Schlosser, he's figured out how to get around this racetrack. I mean, he's obviously starting to, you know, extend that lead over top of Brandon Zimmerman. Kensley Smith, meanwhile, just barely behind Greg Robinson as they chase one another down the backstretch and into turn 3. Smith now starting to look here. This is honestly a cool shot, and I hope that we get, there it is, from the blimp. The 15 and the 8 under the lights here at Darlington Raceway. This just looks cool. This is the 2001 Pepsi 400.
Yeah, it is. This is just ideal. This is nostalgia at its finest. I remember where I was at the time of this race. I was living with my parents. I was actually watching the race in the basement as the 15 just full sends on the bottom in the apron, but the 8's going to get the high line run. It's going to be another battle coming off of turn 4.
Turn 4 and down the front stretch, Gregory Robinson going to be the victor of this battle for the time being, but the war is far from over as we work lap number 69 here at Darlington Raceway. Folks, I'm Dave Regal, and this is the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast Booth. We want to thank you for making us a part of your evening. Shane and I will be right back here on Sim Racing Media.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover Fields is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh my
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Let's do it.
Welcome back to Darlington Raceway here in the Racers Elite Nextgen Cup Series. Dave Regal and Shane Lake with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Matt Schlosser, your race leader here on lap number 77, as he made the pass about 25 laps ago and just has not looked back since. Looks like just moments ago, our very own Matt Metler may have had himself the end of the night, as he appears to have crashed and gone off track. Schlosser leading Zimmerman now by 3.6 seconds. Man, this has been a great race so far.
It has. We've had a lot of great battles. Unfortunately, we've had a few people end up at the beer stand, but that's just the nature of Darlington. As we said at the start of the show, it was going to be a battle of survival, and right now, Matt Schlosser is leading the way in this. And after, again, what I saw last night at Mosport with him, this doesn't surprise me in the slightest with him checking out to almost a 3.5 second lead.
Yeah, Schlosser with this much time between him and Brandon Zimmerman, the only thing that's going to give Zimmerman, any kind of hope here in the twilight of this race is, one, Schlosser's probably going to be thinking about coming down for tires at some point here. I mean, he last came down on 56. That means that he should be somewhere in and around, I'm going to say probably 85. Lap 85 should be just about where he should be. It's been 22 laps. We're just about there.
Yeah, I would say 85 to 90 would be good to bolt on the last good set of stickers, because I'll leave you about 15 laps left with the race. But they might all be trying to hold on for another caution. Problem is they might be holding on just a little too long.
Well, in a situation like this, as we take a look at Truth Hoke working the inside of Curtis Ecker in the Coca-Cola number 19, sometimes it's not a bad thing to get separated like this. It limits the amount of cautions because, as we know, cautions breed cautions. To me, I think this is almost ideal for Schlosser to just finish this piece up. And, one other thing, just as a side note here, Curtis Ecker in the 19, he's driving the Coca-Cola paint scheme. I know that we have the Coke family of drivers, so on and so forth, which is great. But I always thought that Coca-Cola needs just a Coke car somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen Coke on Austin Dillon's car before, just Coca-Cola itself. Denny Hamlin more recently. But seeing it on a Chevrolet, considering the last time I remember it personally being on the Chevys was during 2004 Pepsi 400 with Kevin Harvick among them. It just feels right seeing this paint scheme as he just knocked the right side off of it.
Yeah, he heard us talking about him and figured that he'd try to put on a show. Why not? As Schlosser has now extended his lead to almost 5 seconds over Zimmerman.
Again, I am not surprised at this in the slightest. Everyone's just logging laps, I think, waiting for, like I said, the caution to come down or to bolt on that last set of tires and maybe try to play a little bit of strategy. We might even see some fuel only, although that would be one whale of a stretch, because you'd be giving up at least a second and a half, 2 seconds on a fresh set of tires, as Robinson and Honeycutt are starting a little battle of their own for sixth.
Yeah, they figure here with about 27 to go this time by, maybe crank up the heat a little bit, put a show on, as Brandon Honeycutt looks to the rear bumper here of the 8 driven by Gregory Robinson. He's looking to the inside. He thinks he's going to look here as they go side by side down the front chute. They go just past the flag stand here at the start-finish line, and they are neck and neck going into one.
And I think Honeycutt's going to end up getting the advantage because I think Robinson let him go a little bit, knowing that if Honeycutt washed up, they were both going to end up in the wall.
riding along here with Gregory Robinson out of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. I like saying his town's name. Now getting past as he starts to hemorrhage positions, he allows the 29 on by. That's Ira Kohlhaas. He's down a couple of laps here. But, I mean, right now, Robinson kind of in a nice spot here, about 2 seconds back to Kirby Wainscott. And Wainscott, as we can see, just coming into view behind him. There's still plenty of time in a second and a half.
Yeah, right now everyone is basically in a pocket, but right now I think Wainscott's saying that 8 car is looking pretty finger-licking good to try to pick up a position.
It is, as we go on back through the field here. Matt Schlosser getting ready to serve lunch here to the 98. Seems like he's ready to strap the hairnet on here with now 20 laps to go. Diego Rodriguez and Brandon Zimmerman. 1, 2, 3. Schlosser's yet Rodriguez and Zimmerman.
Yeah, and it just feels right, as you said, seeing this 20 car on these high banks of Darlington with this paint job. It just feels magnifique.
I mean, look, I remember back in the days of the NASCAR 2003 game when, of course, I was driving Smoke's car from this viewpoint and just thought that I was the coolest dude on the racetrack, even if you are going to try to rip the right side off coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, I remember I was a Jeff Gordon fan, so obviously that old flamed-out paint job was my go-to car, as there goes some more of the right side wrap on that 20 car. And I just remember ripping as much as possible, especially up top of turns 1 and 2 and just driving it to the bottom here. So it just feels so nostalgic seeing all these, amazing looking paint jobs here.
Speaking of nostalgia, taking a look here at our youtube.com live chat. Folks, let us know. Chicken Coop Racing wants to do a fan poll for best throwback paint scheme tonight. So let us know what you think the best throwback paint scheme is. Of course, we've seen the McDonald's number 98, the Aaron's Dream Machine, the Home Depot Mobile, the 43 Richard Petty STP car. I mean, there's all kinds of choices tonight here on the racetrack. I mean, there's a couple here that I would have trouble choosing between.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I got to lean towards King Richard, that 43 car, commemorating the 1984 Firecracker 400 win he had as he just about got turned by the 13. That got a little bit dicey for a moment there, and we got a battle brewing between those two.
Yeah, all of a sudden the 43 and the 13 go at it, but now the 13 slides back ahead for the time being. I don't know why it won't take the click. Let's go. There it is. As we're going to look here from Alex Teft to the back of Brandon Honeycutt.
I think E.T. was controlling the camera on that one.
Could have been maybe extra special. But right now, looking from the blimp down at Alex Teft, now he's riding all by his lonesome. Closest battle on the racetrack right now is Diego Rodriguez trying to hold off Kensley Smith, as Kensley, about 0.3 of a second back, is the nearest driver for position to be battling it out on the racetrack.
Yeah, Kensley's trying to put that 20 to sleep as the Dream Machine is looking to try to close in and pick up second place and then try to go after Matt Schlosser. But Diego Rodriguez up 12 positions from the start. So far, the biggest mover we've had tonight.
We've talked about King Richard several times. Let's take a look quick at our at some of these records here from Darlington Raceway. King Richard holds exactly one record for Darlington Raceway, or I'm sorry, exactly 2 records for Darlington Raceway. One for most top 5s, that's 25, and one for most starts at 65. I feel like I should see his name a lot more on this chart.
Well, that just goes to show how hard Darlington is. One of the only highlights that I can remember with Richard was back in 1970. It's on YouTube, where he smacked the wall coming off of what's now turn 4 and literally buried that 1970 Roadrunner upside down in pit wall.
Yeah, that's something that you can go check out on NASCAR.com, as they've got the NASCAR Classics over there. And taking a peek at some of the other records here. Most wins, of course, David Pearson. Most top 10s belongs to awesome Bill Elliott. David Pearson has the most poles. Ricky Rudd, though, has the most laps completed at 17,582. Dale Earnhardt has the most laps led at 2,648.
Dale was never intimidated by this place, and he drove it like he owned it. So it's not surprising to see Dale with the most laps led here because that black 3 at this place, it just suited his style.
It did, and with 11 laps to go, we take a look here at another driver that it just suits his style, and that's Matt Schlosser, as the cream has risen to the top here for him, as he's trying to figure out how he's going to go around our very own boss man in the 86, Jonathan Leach, as Jonathan was just all over the backstretch, and now he's dangerously, trying to hold it together over top of Schlosser.
I was about to do a Macho Man Randy Savage impersonation, but then I was watching Boss Man end up smacking the wall, and I'm like, no, that's not the cream rising to the crop.
No, that's more like the crap floating to the bottom.
Yeah, that's going from the outhouse to the sewer really fast.
From the penthouse to the Poe house.
Yep, in no time flat.
I don't even know. We could do this all night long, I feel.
We could.
Once again, we take a look back here at Dennis Kane. Dennis Kane now all but blowing the door off of Alex Teft, if there was a door on that race car, is now Teft battling it out. It's like he just kind of surprised Teft. Let's take a look at this pass for P6, because this was strange. Kane came out of nowhere with a crazy run at the back of the 43.
Yeah, I think Kane saved up some tire and was just able to cut underneath the 43. And there was nothing Teft could do except just watch him go on by.
You know what, though? That shows the discipline that Teft drives with, because there are several drivers, in and around the iRacing.com servers that would absolutely have tried to throw on the afterburners and wind up sideways into the wall.
I've raced with a few of those type of people, and I've been collected in their crap. It's not pleasant.
8 laps to go here from Darlington Raceway. It looks like Schlosser's going to try to stay out. Everybody trying to stay out. In fact, freshest tires on the racetrack belong to Andrew Teft, who came down on 76. So if the caution were to come out, Teft would get his lap back and suddenly wind up leading this piece if everybody came down pit road.
Yeah, I think everyone's trying to either manage it to get to the end or are just holding on, praying for a caution to happen so they can all come in, get the tires, and have that battle that Darlington has been so famous for through the years.
Riding along here with Matt Schlosser out of Frederick, Maryland. I just want to take a look here and see what those hands are doing, because, he looks very comfortable here in the cockpit.
And he's not downshifting either, so he's also keeping the tires underneath him, because the moment you get on the throttle after downshift, well, he had to shut me up, didn't he?
Yeah, race car drivers have a habit of doing that.
Yeah, they also have a habit to listen to the broadcast and telling the commentator, shut up, I'll show you something.
That's probably exactly what just happened here.
Probably. He knew I was talking about him and said, yeah, I ain't downshifting, huh? Watch this. Keep it out of the wall so we can actually see an amazing finish.
I'll tell you what, we've got a chance here to see an amazing finish. As 5 to go at Darlington with basically very limited cautions. They didn't take out a whole lot of the field. We saw, of course, some really devastating crashes, but, nothing crazy tonight here from Darlington with 4 laps to go now at the line. And I jinxed it.
And it was the 10 car smacking the wall because I just saw him sliding down in front of Schlosser.
That's going to trigger NASCAR overtime. Let's take a look here with Kirby Wainscott as he had the 59. Oh, he got cleared out by Truth Hoke.
That was not pretty. He bounced it off the wall, and Truth had nowhere to go except into the left rear and just, yeeted him.
He did, as we're going to ride along with Truth Hoke now in the 59. Hoke looks to the inside. Oh, he just had nothing to do except clear him out.
And I guarantee you the Colonel is not smiling right now.
Nope, he got at least 7 of the 11 herbs and spices scattered around 1 and 2.
Oh, that's going to take a while to clean up.
Fortunately, we have Speedy Dry.
Yeah, we got some jet dryers down there to blow the spices off. As here comes pit road.
This is going to be interesting. Schlosser coming down pit road. I don't see who he's joined with.
Looks
There
like
it
Diego
is. Rodriguez, but Honeycutt's going to cycle up. Honeycutt thinks he can hold on to this one. So it's going to be Zimmerman, my God. This could be the most interesting thing that we see tonight so far, as now Kensley Smith and Brandon Honeycutt going to try to lead this piece. Kensley Smith, of course, your points leader. Brandon Honeycutt, your winner last week at Dover, while Schlosser comes down for pit service here in his box.
I have a feeling that we are going to see fireworks tonight, and this is honestly partly what we've been waiting for. Is we've had the great run so far, the long green flag stretches, but here comes that thrilling Darlington finish.
Now, of course, like I said, this is going to trigger NASCAR overtime. What that means, folks, if you haven't seen this before, is that when we come back around for green flag racing, the green flag will fly. We will race around back to the white flag. If a caution should come out between the time that the green flag waves and the white flag, we will rack them, stack them, and do it all over again. However, if we race around from green and the white flag waves without a caution being thrown, then we will race back to checkers, and the next flag will end the race, whether it is a checkered flag or a caution flag.
And with two cars out front on much older tires and everybody else are behind them on 4 stickers, we may end up seeing some bent fiberglass coming through turns 3 and 4 for sure.
As the iRacing.com pace car collects everybody here, another round of pit stops from Andrew Teft, Kirby Wainscott, Ira Kohlhaas, and Jason Bottoms. The field making its way on by. Not too many people have put it on the hauler tonight so far, which is actually pretty interesting when you think about it here as we roll out of turn 2 and onto the backstretch.
Yeah, I'm looking right down through the pylon right now. We've only got 4 cars that have DNF'd. Everybody else is out there still running.
That's impressive no matter where you are, but especially at a place like Darlington, that's incredible. Now, one of the things we can talk about real quick is we're going to go up here to the static blimp here. We can see bleachers on both the front and the back stretch. Of course, the front stretch being on the right side of your screen, the back being on the left. The reason for that is that where basically the front stretch is now, that was once upon a time the back stretch, and vice versa. So there are grandstand bleachers on either side of this racetrack with additional bleachers at the entrance to turn 1 and the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, they flipped the track, if I remember correctly, between the spring and fall races of 1997. So they had to be able to do that to expand, to have more seats now on the front, on what's now the front straightaway, because we all know ticket sales here are always going to be a hot commodity for a race at Darlington.
Well, and ticket sales are always huge at races. Of course, that's also why Talladega has its start-finish line, you know, in that dogleg beyond the point of the tri-oval at Talladega. It was basically to get more seats filled down toward turn 1.
Yeah, Bill Francine said, you know what? While I like the idea of having the start-finish line in the middle of the tri-oval at Daytona, let's put it about 1,600 feet further down towards turn 1 and sell some seats and give everybody a view. And right now, the two guys with the best view, Braden Honeycutt and Kensley Smith, they're about to watch the pace car hook left, and we're about to see the green flag for overtime.
The field getting ready to move its way through turns 3 and 4. The iRacing.com pace car makes the hard left turn down pit road. Brandon Honeycutt going to have control of the field as we come out of turn 4. Honeycutt trying to hold everybody behind him. He needs a good restart here as they're going to be on the oldest tires in the top 10. We enter the Geico restart zone. Honeycutt drops the hammer, and here we go, NASCAR overtime.
And Honeycutt with an amazing lead as Kensley Smith is trying to stay right there with him. The 20 car Diego Rodriguez smacks the wall, and here comes Matt Schlosser trying to go underneath him to capitalize on the mistake. As everyone comes off of turn 2, the 65 just about bought the inside wall.
The 65 goes down to the apron, and we stay green flag racing. Alex Teft now lined up behind Diego Rodriguez. Honeycutt and Smith still lead this piece, while Schlosser, who had so much of a gap earlier, trying to claw his way back to the lead. The white flag waves, and we're racing back to checkers.
Brandon Honeycutt has a about a 1 second gap as he's getting ready to head through turns 3 and 4. I guess staying out was a strategy as we have a huge wreck behind everybody.
Oh, there they go. The field is going to freeze. The caution flag is going to wave, and that will be the end of the race as they come to checkers here on the front stretch. Brandon Honeycutt with a back-to-back win here at Darlington Raceway. He's followed by Kensley Smith, Gregory Robinson, Truth Hoke, Brandon Zimmerman, Curtis Eckert, Matt Schlosser, Dennis Kane, Alex Teft, and Diego Rodriguez being scored in the 10th position.
That was huge on the back straightaway.
Let's take a quick peek at that. In fact, I'm going to run this back just slightly further because I feel like this is where we need to really pay attention as we bring that back up here on your screen. Watch what goes on. The 40 checks up into the 20, collects the 43. Two throwback paint schemes now ruined for the evening on the final lap.
More than just two, because that just took out about 7 more cars afterwards, 8 more cars, as the field just had nowhere to go as they were running towards the checkered flag.
Well, and as you're running toward the checkered flag, you don't really have a whole lot of places that you can go. As Brandon Honeycutt going to bring it to a rest here on the front stretch at Darlington Raceway. Let's see if we can get a hold of him here.
What an absolute crazy finish. It's a shame that so many cars got tore up, but that's just the nature of the beast here at Darlington. The lady sometimes will like you, and then sometimes she'll slap you and say, "What were you thinking tonight?" And unfortunately, we've had the scene of 2 dominant cars, the 29 car earlier on tonight of Ira Colehouse, and then all of a sudden the 40 of Matt Schlosser looked like he was on his way to a win, end up both junked late.
As we wait for our race winner, Brandon Honeycutt, to get into the into the Discord chat, let's go ahead here and go 3-2-1 instead of 1-2-3 like usual. As Shane, I believe you have Kensley Smith with you here.
Hey, Kensley, it's Shane up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Talk about a crazy finish, staying out on those old tires. Did you know you were going to be able to hold everybody off behind you who took 4, or were you just hoping on a prayer to capitalize on a somewhat decent points day?
Just capitalizing on a prayer. I want to say I'm sorry to everybody that was behind me. Coming out of 1 and 2 on the last lap, I absolutely killed the corner, and I think that stacked up everybody behind me. So I just want to say sorry for that.
Well, you know, that's just the nature of the beast here at Darlington. You had an amazing-looking throwback. Tell us a little bit about the old Aaron's Dream Machine for the tonight's race.
Back in the old days, I used to go to Daytona with my dad all the time, and my dad's favorite driver was Michael Waltrip. So, of course, that rubbed off on me, so that's my favorite driver, or was my favorite driver. But really, this is for my dad. Who passed away 4 years ago. So every car that I drive has something to do with Michael Waltrip for him.
I know that feeling all too well. My dad passed a couple of years ago. He was a huge fan of the Intimidator. So in a few leagues I'm actually in, I've got the 3-car proudly represented. So believe me, I get that feeling. Is there anybody you want to thank before we let you get out of here?
Of course, I want to thank my teammates. Driving Extreme Inc. We all run pretty good. Honeycutt won tonight, so that's a good job for him. And of course, my wife and my daughter for watching the races and allowing me to do this. You guys for putting on the broadcast for us, and Andrew for putting on the league.
All right, man. Well, you're coming out of this still with the points lead as we get ready to head into the playoffs. Celebrate this P2 finish, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Shane, as we're going to get our P3 finisher, Greg Robinson. Hey, Greg, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Hey, man, listen, great finish tonight. You climb up out of 13th position to finish here on the podium. Take us through tonight and some of the, what I assume has to be mayhem that went on.
I screwed up both my qualifying laps because I was pretty quick in practice, but then I just didn't back it up in qualifying. And I would basically just was trying to fight my way through the pack for the whole race, and then that final half lap happened, and I was just like, "Ooh, thank you." And I gladly take the third place finish.
Yeah, it's definitely, great when you wind up finishing here on the podium, especially as, we get ready to go into the playoffs. I mean, all things considered, I don't know. Yeah, of course, you're locked in here in 9th position. So as we get ready to go into the playoffs moving forward, what's going to be your focus as we get ready to turn that corner?
Consistently in the top 10, and then hopefully have a decent point gap to where I can overtake going to the final week at Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, these 5 races that lead into Atlanta, I mean, start off with Michigan next week. These are some really great racetracks, especially for these playoffs this year. So, is it going to be full send, or are we thinking maybe just be conservative early on?
Depending on how I feel that day, how I'm driving, and if I feel like I can run the top 5, I will run in the top 5. If I feel like I can run in the top 10, I'll run in the top 5. If I feel like I don't got a top 10 car, I'll finish in the top 10.
All right, man. Quite a strategy as we get ready to go to the playoffs. Congratulations on the P3 win tonight. Before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank and tip your cap to?
My teammates, Jason and Dakota, they were running pretty good, and Thomas, our team owner. And it's been a blast.
All right, my friend. Listen, congratulations. We'll see you next week at Michigan.
All right, thank you.
Well, Shane, another one in the books here, and for your first night out here in the Racers Elite Next-Gen Cup Series, it's been quite a barn burner.
This was a little bit more than what I was thinking was going to happen, but, you come in with no expectations. You end up getting a thrilling finish like this. Unfortunately, we saw a lot of cars at the end get taken out, and we still saw the one big thing Darlington is known for. That's pit strategy, and it still prevailed today.
Yeah, pit strategy definitely paid off for a lot of these drivers. 9 drivers finish on the lead lap. So before we get out of here, let's take one final look at our results. Brandon Honeycutt brings home the checkered flag, joined on the podium by Kensley Smith and Gregory Robinson. 4th place goes to Truth Hoke, while P5 and rounding out your top 5 is Brandon Zimmerman. Curtis Eckert finishes in 6th with Matt Schlosser in 7th. Dennis Kane in 8th, while Alex Teft and Diego Rodriguez round out your top 10. Andrew Teft, Kirby Wainscott, Ira Kohlhaas, Jason Bottoms, Jonathan Leach, Sam Kohlhaas, and Dakota Bly, your top 17, while Marshall Harris, Matt Metler, Alan Bergen, and Thomas Stanley round out the rest of the field. It has been an exciting regular season finale here at Darlington, the Lady in Black. Some say it's the track too tough to tame, but Brandon Honeycutt said otherwise tonight as he brought home that checkered flag. So for myself, Dave Regal, my broadcast partner, Shane Lake, and everybody here at Sim Racing Media, we want to thank you for making us a part of your evening right here on YouTube.com. So wherever you may be and however you may be listening, thank you for tuning in tonight and tomorrow and every day as you walk down the road of life. Please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.
Until we meet again, take care.